Somebody
For real, for real.
Here are the clues. Let me start off by saying that that being an original is not only a blessing, but an original was there from the very, very beginning. With that said, I am an original. Born in Detroit, sang in the church, started in church. I did not want to sing at all. I actually got drafted while my girlfriend was doing an audition. Sang back up on some of the certain superstars' biggest and best early hits. Blessed to be known all over the world. Like my sister Helen from the 3 Degrees, no relation, left the group to start a family. Returned and still performing these great, great songs. Who am I, or who
I don't know.
Rosie, what you got for me, baby? Down there?
I don't know.
Black Sam on the day, baby. You looking good.
Thank you. That hair looking bad, but good. Thank you. But I tell them, charge it to my heart, to my head, not my heart. I was all around with this Ollie, so I got stumped. So I have no one to say, because I have a couple people, so no one to say. Hello.
Okay, not a problem.
Oh, okay.
Diane, what you got, baby, down in Florida? What you got?
I was all over the place.
I was too.
And then I said Shirley Jones from the Jones Girls.
Are you asking me, or is that your answer?
That's my answer. That's
okay.
That's all I can settle on.
Okay, I don't have that buzzer that they used to have on Let's Make a Deal, but I'll do this. Good try, babe. Good try.
Good try. That's right.
Good try. Michelle, what you got for us, babe?
I'm with them. I'm with Rosie and Don. I mean, I'm with them too. I'm lost.
Well, I understand that you're not lost. The problem is you got an award today, so you ain't have time to think about anything else. I understand. It's okay. It's all right. Hazel, what you got, baby?
I got Annette Bear from Martin Vandellas.
Okay, that's your guess?
Yes.
Okay, Drew, what you got?
Man, this was a wild good chase, man. I started out with some dudes. The military, I got hung up on the military thing. I was thinking Henry Fambro. I even considered Smokey and Claudette. I even considered Barry Gordy. Then I went over to the female side. I tried to look Kim Weston, Brenda Holloway, and I just kept getting stumped, man. I'm stumped. I have to be in your doghouse tonight.
Okay. No, you're not in the doghouse. It's okay. The next time that we ask, I just need to know how much more time I can go get the hoagie down the street before you finally Rita, what you got, baby? Rita, what you got?
I'm like everybody else. I was going through it, and you were all kinds of names, but I came up. I came up with a.
Mark, would you cut Rita out for the rest of the
I came up with Miss Annette Beard.
Okay.
From
Sharon,
Martha Reeves and the Vandellas.
Okay, Sharon, the professor, what you got?
Well, I started out with all men, ended up having to go over to women. I had a couple of wrong women, but I got Annette Beard from Martha Reeves and the Vandellas.
Okay, all right. Well, Mark, would you since everybody that gave us their guess, would you kindly bring our guest in, please?
Now, you know this one's difficult. Our guest people, she's sitting in a helicopter on a cruise ship on the back of a tornado-bound rocket ship. So we're going to be jury rigging this thing in, Ali. I am going to see if I can bring her in visually.
Okay.
But I will put the name up for everybody to see.
All right.
Just in case we can't see her.
Okay.
Because she's still in the shower. We don't want to get the camera in the shower.
Versus in the
She's in the shower. She's in a helicopter.
I'm gonna say she's in the helicopter.
It's a shower in the helicopter. You know, she's she's a high-tech sister. Come on, Drew.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the name up. A couple of you had it right, but a couple of you had it really wrong.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hey, blame it on Ollie.
Would everybody give me a nice round of applause and welcome my very, very good friend, Miss Annette L. Helton, but her name was Beard when you got it. of Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. Would you give her a nice round of applause, please?
All right.
Right.
Good.
Annette, can you hear me? We're working on trying to get the audio. We got the audio through my phone, but we're trying to work on getting your picture up so everybody can see you, because I told you a couple of minutes ago that you look absolutely wonderful. You look like you just stepped off the stage from singing Come and Get These Memories. You know what I mean? So, how are you, sweetheart? How you doing? I hear you. Listen, Magnificent Seven, can everybody hear her?
No.
No.
Can't hear her. Okay, let me see if I can do something with that. She's calling me on my phone because we're having difficulties in getting her on, the regular way. Okay, I'll talk to her, and then hopefully I'll try to pass on. I got my volume up as far as I can go. Okay, so Annette, let's talk about your career. Being as fabulous as it was or is, and I'll say is, because I know that you're still performing once this pandemic gets out of the way. Give us some words that you think would sum up your career.
Would sum up my career?
Yes.
Well, I think it would just be my life period. It has been wonderful. It has been nothing like I would have ever expected as a young teenager.
Okay.
Nothing. I mean, the traveling, the people that I've met, especially the traveling and all of that. My parents would never have been able to afford to allow me to travel or have me to travel the way that I did. And I have been all over the world. And I mean, starting out at 14 years old, that's not what I wanted to be, a singer.
Right.
And to just switch everything around. I wanted to be a nurse. There was something about that woman dressed in the white hat and the white uniform and the white stockings and the white shoes.
Okay.
I thought that was the best thing.
Okay.
But it's been so rewarding for me. I mean, it has allowed me a chance to, like I said, travel, meet tons of people, great people, and just do something that I never ever thought that I'd be on somebody's stage singing.
Okay. Now, if I could, can you guys? I know it's low, but you can hear. You can hear a little bit of what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, great. You guys are just gonna have to be real quiet. So
A little bit
you
of static.
I'll try my best. Annette, if you would, I'm going to ask the Magnificent Seven. They're going to introduce themselves first. Then they're going to ask you either a question or make a comment to you, and hopefully you'll hear it, and we'll be able to go in more detail. So, Rosie, would you start off with us, please?
Yes. Good evening, Miss Annette, and thank you for coming to see us. And I want to piggyback on your being a nurse, because I was a candy striper for like 3 years, and I had planned on being a nurse. First sight of blood, Miss Annette, I was on the floor. They had me. They had sniffing salt for me. Okay, I couldn't stand it, so that was my career, being a Florence Nightingale. Okay, so I just want to piggyback on that. I thought about that. But now, Come and Get Those Memories, was that a personal song, or how was that written? How did that come about? Because that was one of my favorites. And that was a personal song for me when I was dumping a guy there, and I told him, come get these memories. So was that a personal song for one of you in the group, or someone just happened to just write it offhand? I'm just curious.
No, he wrote it for us, and that was our first one that hit the charts.
Wow.
That was our
Okay.
first one that hit the charts. That's one of my favorites. Come and Get These Memories.
Yes.
Great question, Rosie. Great question.
Yes.
Great question. And it happens to be one of my favorites also.
Yes, it is.
Diane
Yes.
down in Florida, what you got for us, baby doll?
Good evening, Miss Annette. My name is Diane Parker, and it's a pleasure to meet you. I mean, I've loved Martha and the Vandellas from the beginning. Dancing in the street was my thing. Danced all summer in the street, every street, okay? But that was one of my favorites. What is your favorite song?
Well, I like all the ones that I was on.
Mhm.
I just like them all. I love just getting on the stage, just performing.
Right.
We can just interact with the audience, and just to see them enjoying themselves is just,
Right. Yes.
I like Jimmy Mack. Everybody keep asking me, why do you like Jimmy Mack? I had that as my ringtone on my phone for a while, but it's just something about that beat, that Jimmy Mack,
Yes.
you know.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, all right. I was gonna ask you if there's a personal story you want to share with that.
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay, okay,
I didn't know nobody named Jimmy Mack.
okay, all right. I got you. I got you. Good question, Diane. Michelle, what you got, baby doll?
It's a pleasure to meet you, to have you on the Magnificent Seventh. Let me put that out there first.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to you speak, and you were saying that you never thought that you would ever make this dream come true in so many words. Did you have a great support system behind you, or did you have a lot of family members and people that doubted you that you were going to make it this far? How was it for you?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, it was not a dream of mine to become a singer. Okay, like I said, I wanted to be a nurse.
Right.
So, but I want to give my family all the credit, especially my mom and my dad, because when I would go out on the road, when we got with Motown and we literally started traveling, when I came home, my mother would tell me right off the bat, I don't care nothing about you being one of them Vandellas, okay? You home now, so you got a week for dishes, you got a week. You know, my family kept me totally grounded, and I love them for that. I love my sisters and everybody. They was real poor. You can be a Vandella all you want, but when you at home, you just Annette. And I tell people right now, I will tell people, because Rosalind and myself will be together, and people will look at us and they'll say, you guys do something, and we'll look at each other and we'll go, we do something? And we'll bust out and start laughing, and then it'll come to the people and they say, you sing or you do something, you know, and they'll bow and like, pull up.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them right away, I am a Vandella on stage. Off stage, I am just Annette. I am just Annette off stage.
That's very nice.
Okay.
That's a very nice thing.
I was Annette before I became a Vandella,
That's right. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Well, you know what? A very, very good question, Michelle. Very good question. When you think about that in its totality, you are thrilling and satisfying a lot of people. A lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, when you and your home, no matter how much money you have, no matter the wigs, the gowns, and all that kind of stuff, when you come home, you got to wash dishes. I like that. I like that. Okay.
She wasn't no taller than me, and I'm only, well, I was 5 feet, but I'm about 4'11" now. As you get older, you know, you shrink that. Now that's really true, guys.
That's true. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, but no, I love my family because of that. I mean, they totally kept me grounded. They said they didn't care, and we got together as family and did stuff, and it was great.
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Do you still, and now that you're into, can I call this the second half of your career or the third half? Can I call it that, with just being the original Vandellas? How do you want to label that? Is there a label for it?
This is probably the third time in my career.
Okay. Okay.
I married in 62.
Right.
And I married my high school sweetheart.
Wow.
He graduated, he went straight into the service, and he spent a couple of years in the service. And so, of course, I had to wait, but I was singing, you know, then.
Right.
And when he came home, we got married. And later on, a couple of years later, I got pregnant.
Okay.
So as I didn't even think in terms of how I was going to do that when I began to show. But we were on a show once, and my zipper on my dress broke. And Rosalind was trying to zip me back up, and the band was going, they whistling and carrying on, you know. I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy. So I told the ladies, I said, I think I'm going to have to stop singing now. I said, because I get too big with these little uniforms, okay? You know? So I stopped singing in June of 1964. My son was born December of 1964.
Okay.
Wow.
And I stayed out a long time until every time the girls would come to town, I would go to see them. I would always go and see the show and everything. And Martha would always ask me, she said, why don't you come back? Everybody wants to know where the original Vandellas are. And by the time she asked me, which was a few years later, you know, I had to tell her I cannot go out on the road right now. I said, because I'm raising my children by myself. I said, and because of that, I have to stay home with my children. I don't want to leave them. They were younger then. And I didn't want to leave them. I didn't want nobody else raising them. You know, I wanted to go ahead and raise them myself.
Sure.
So, yes, because my husband and I, we divorced because my husband got strung out on drugs, and that was time for me to leave. He was never cruel to me, never cruel to my children or anything like that, but it's almost like I saw the future. I worked in a hospital.
Sure. Okay. All right. Great question. Great question. Great question and great answer. Hazel? Hazel?
Yes.
Do you have something you'd like to pass in, a question or a comment?
Hi, Miss Annette. Thank you for joining us. My question is, are you still on your off time? Are you still singing in the church or?
No, I haven't sang with the church in years, actually. And it probably was because we were gone on the weekend.
Right.
Most of our traveling would be on the weekend, so I never had the opportunity. But I would like to very much, you know, when we get a chance to start going back to church, I would definitely like to set up a choir and work with the choir for the church. You know,
Okay.
I would love to do that.
Great question, Hazel. Great question. Great question.
Right.
Drew, what you got, Drew? Drew.
Yes, Miss Annette, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your legacy as part of this historic group. Talk to us about your early career before you became a Vandella, and how did that process work out?
Okay, that started out when I was 14 years old. A young lady that I went to school with, well, she lived in the next block from me. We went to school together. She wanted to be a singer. Some kind of way she found out that this gentleman had a guys group and he wanted to form a female group. He had a lead female singer, but he needed background for her and he wanted to start a female group. So she asked me to ride downtown to the YMCA with her so that she could go for this audition. So I rode downtown with her, and I had to call my mom and ask her. My mother said, yes, it was all right, be careful. And so I rode downtown with her, and we were at the Y, and there was all these young ladies running around, and there was this gentleman sitting at this old piano, and he would call one of the young ladies, you, come on up here, and you know, he'd plunk out something on the piano, and he said, give me an ah, and she'd go, ah, and he'd plunk out another one, and she'd go, ah, and he said, okay, go sit down. You know, he did that with most of the young ladies that was in there, and he did it with the young lady that I went with. So, you know, I'm just sitting there waiting with her, and I'm listening to these young ladies do this ah. So he looks at me, he said, you, come here, come give me an ah. And I turned around, I went, no, I didn't come to sing. I came with her, girl sitting next to me. He said, that's all right, come on up at your piano anyway. And I was like, oh, Lord have mercy, this is not what I come up here for, you know. So I went on up there, so he plunked out a note, he said, give me an ah, and I went, ah. He plunked out another one, he said, give me another ah, I went, ah. He said, okay, go sit down. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. So at the end, after he got through auditioning everybody, he says, I have my group.
Wow.
The young lady that I went with, he picked two more young ladies, and he picked me. And when he picked me, I was like, oh, no, I can't sing. Nope, I'm only 14 years old. You got to talk to my mama, and I don't want to sing no way. I don't want to be no singer. And he said, you'll be all right. He said, I'll talk to your mama, and some kind of way he talked to my mother. I asked my mother when she was about 80 years old. I said, Mom, when that man came and asked you about me singing, what did you tell him? And she looked at me like, you expect me to do now? And I was like, this thing started happening so fast after that. We started rehearsing at each other's houses and everything. And we were doing literally sock hops. We were doing sock hops where, you could go and dance to the music. Go like to the gym hall or something like that. You dance to music. But you had to do it in your socks. You had to take your shoes off because they had hardwood floors. But that's how I literally got started. I did not want to be a singer.
Okay.
Wow. Amazing story, man. Thank you
That
so
was
much
a good
for
story.
sharing.
That was a good story. Good story.
Question, Drew. Great question. Rita,
Good
what you got,
story.
babe?
Good story.
Hi, Miss Annette. It's a pleasure to meet you and for taking the time out to spend the evening with us.
Yes.
Your song, Third Finger Left Hand,
Mm-hmm.
did that have anything to do with, was that written like because you wanted to get married or was about to get married?
Which song was this? I'm sorry.
Third Finger Left Hand.
Nope, it didn't have anything to do with me getting married. Nope. Once we got Howlin' Doja and Holland, and they started writing music for the group, and whatever they gave us, we were kind of okay with it. We didn't fight them or anything like that.
Okay. Good question.
Now that song is very popular. When we go to England, we have to sing Third Finger Left Hand.
Wow.
Yes.
They love that.
England loves us, man.
Yeah. Well, we know. Yeah, we know how that is. We had we had the Reeves on the show a couple of weeks ago, and they are adored, loved, and beloved over in England.
Yes.
And they talk about it. They talk about it all the time.
Yes.
They talk about it all the time. Now let me ask you something in that, because we got one more. And I know we're going to go around again. But then let me ask you something. When Holland and Dozier were your writers, were there any other groups? I know you guys did background for a couple of Marvin Gaye's great big hits, Hitchhike and I think Stubborn Kind of Fellow and Pride and Joy. Yeah, that's the other one I was trying to think of.
Wherever I lay my hat, that's my home.
Right. Now Barry had this thing about everybody helping out everybody to make something else. There were times I know that when I talked to Ron Tyson, that they were in the studio, and if you needed hand claps or if you needed footsteps, other folks would come in there to do it. Was there anybody else that helped out on your songs that besides you guys, besides the Vandellas?
As far as singing, no.
Okay.
There was nobody else, especially while I was there. Now I have heard some of our songs kind of redone or something like that, and they put in some more background and all of that, but we kind of held our own.
Okay.
We kind of held our own. So no, there was never anybody else that was brought into the studio when we were recording or anything like that, and they never added voices.
Okay. The reason I was asking is because of the very, very popular background group, the Adantes. I was asking if I was wanting to find out had they done anything, with you guys, but you answered my question. That's great. That's great.
Okay, they didn't do anything with us when we were in the studio recording. I know once I left the group and I've heard different things, I can hear other voices, okay? Because I know me. I can hear a song that I might have sung on 1,000 years ago. I know me.
Okay. All right. I got you. We're going to move over to the professor here. The professor, what you got for us, babe?
Good evening, Miss Annette. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to meet you. How did it feel being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Ooh, good question.
That was quite an honor. And believe it or not, out of all the awards that we have, that one is my favorite.
Okay. Okay.
I love, and I'm so sorry that we're having the video problem and everything, but that one is my pride and joy because
Okay.
it was the first one that
Well
we
deserved,
received.
too.
And to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, 1995. I'm like, wow, okay, you know. And this guy is standing there, and he's got this that he's holding up. You know, it's like a big record, and that was the first one, and that's my favorite.
Okay. Now,
Thank you. Well deserved.
Professor, if you're not done, I just want to jump in here for a second. Annette, is that because of the historical facts that it leads to now, the historical place that you're going to be ever inducted to and will stand? Is that one of the reasons why you like it so much?
I just like the fact. I mean, I like the fact that it represents, and you know, just the fact that it was our first one. I mean, it gave us you know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Really?
Okay. All right. Okay.
And I think everybody, if you haven't been, you need to go and see it. I haven't been there in a couple of 2-3 years, but it's a great place to go and visit.
Right. Okay. Professor, I'm going to cut you off. Are you finished? You had something else?
The only other thing to go on what you were saying, Allie, about them doing background for Marvin Gaye. How was it like working with Marvin Gaye? I loved him.
Yes.
It was hard because we were in one microphone and he was in another one, but they happened to be facing each other, and we had to look at him while we tried to sing behind him. That was very difficult. He was so doggone good looking. It was like,
yes.
Okay. I had a boyfriend from high school. How can I sing behind this man? But just for the record, because I have people now to ask me at my age, how many of the Motown guys did you go with? None. Okay? None did I go with. None. I was in love with my first husband. I did not fool around with none of the Motown guys or nothing, but Marvin Gaye, he was like, whoa.
Okay.
We're the ones that told you about the hitchhike, because Marvin would go out there. Frank Sinatra.
Right.
And he wanted to sing kind of like Frank Sinatra songs.
Yes. Yes, he did.
And we tell him, Marvin, when you sing, look out there. Your thumb to the right, and shake your little booty and whatever, you know. And he got out there and did that one time. He started falling all out. You know, we couldn't stop him after that.
I don't say that. Okay.
That's great. That's great.
We could not stop him.
And that what my Magnificent Seven knows. I'm sorry, Professor. I'm sorry, but my Magnificent Seven knows this. I've been saying this on the air, on my TV shows, my radio shows. I've been saying it forever. And Drew is one of the people that always agree with me. The records come and get these memories. Wild One, Heat Wave, Dance, great music. But what you're doing now, the stories behind the music, is what makes it all happen. Now, what you just gave us on Marvin shaking his little, well, I don't know how big or little it was, but Marvin shaking his butt. This is like precious stuff here. You know what I mean? Coming from somebody who is of your ilk and of your plateau, and who is of Marvin's plateau, and you sang and was right there with it. This is great stuff here. This is what makes it all worthwhile. Hazel's probably gonna get another drink in a few minutes. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not trying to put nobody in down, but all I'm saying is that this is great stuff here. This is really
yes, it is.
Stuff.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
Annette, who was your favorite? Now I know you did with Marvin. Out of Motown, who was your favorite performer that you just could not wait to see or perform with on the same stage?
Oh, let me see. You're not talking about Motown.
Yes,
right?
yes, from Motown, because that was the family. That was the family there.
Well, actually, you know, we all got a chance to work with each other because when they started Motown Reviews,
yes,
you know, the Motown Review was pretty much all of us.
Yes.
All of us that had a record out, it was all of us. So we got a chance to travel right away, you know, together anyway.
Right.
But I mean, I loved working with all of them because Barry always told us, that we were family.
Right.
And to this day, if we see one of our Motown artists, if we go out of town and we work with one or work with the group or see them or they come in town or something like that, we treat them like family because we were brought up that we were family.
Okay.
And that's how we treat them, you know?
Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Are they still having shows at the Fox in Detroit? Are they still having shows? Well, I mean, with the pandemic on, ain't nothing going on nowhere. But are they still, starting to have shows or having shows or before the pandemic or whatever?
You know what? I think they did have a couple of things prior to the pandemic.
Okay.
Of course, that's been almost 2 years now. So,
Almost, yes, yes, yes.
They probably will put something together and bring something back to Detroit.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. If I could, Magnificent Seven, I want to tell you my introduction to Annette. Most of you guys have heard the story. I did a tribute to Marvin Gaye when I was at WHAT. Somehow or another, Barry Gordy's sister, Esther, got it and listened to it and thought it was a great job. She called me from the Motown museum on the air. She called me actually on the air and she said, I thought it was somebody asking for a request. So I said, good evening, WHAT. She said, hi, this is Esther Gordy. And I said, yeah, right. Okay. What's your request, babe? What's your request? So she said, no, this is Esther Gordy. I said, okay. I said, listen, I can't play on the phone. I've got to, I'm doing a show here. What is your request? She said, I want you to do something for me. I said, what is it? She said, I want you to hang up and call this number back. Obviously, the number was 313. I knew that was Detroit. I said, oh my God, did I just offend Barry Gordy's sister? So I called back and I says, Miss Gordy, I am so very sorry. Please accept. She said, don't worry about it because it happens all the time. But when you come here, I'm going to charge you for it. I don't know what that meant. But anyway, so she says to me, I listened to your show. She said, you did a fantastic job on the life and times of Marvin Gaye. I said, what? And I'm trying to think in my mind, you in Detroit, how did you get my show? You know what I mean? So she said, I want to know, would you be interested in coming to Detroit and co-hosting the first Marvin Gaye tribute with Smokey Robinson in Detroit? Well, listen, before she could get the words out of her mouth, I was knocking on her door. I had ran to Detroit. I said, of course I'd like to go, So I got to Detroit and Martha picked me up and we were just running around. And then I think that the Vandellas had rehearsal that day. That's the first time I met Annette that time. And man, I'm telling you, I had a great time. And that was over, how many years ago has that been, the first one on Marvin?
That had to be a long time ago.
Well, it was. I have to figure out how long ago it was, but it was a while ago. And that's when I met the Vandellas, Roz and Annette. And we've been friends ever since. And I met some of the other Motown family because everybody wanted to come and be a part of that first tribute to Marvin. So it's been wonderful. It's really been wonderful. And that's sort of like a highlight of my life too, being asked to come to Detroit by Barry Gordy's sister. You know what I mean? At the time, who ran the museum. She was a wonderful lady. Wonderful lady she was.
She was sweet as she could be.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
Very soft, but she was just.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was. Yes, she was. And let me ask you, and Magnificent Seven, we got about 10 more minutes here. If you guys got any more statements or something you want to say, just let me know. Michelle, you got one. I'll take it. Michelle, you got a question.
Yes. I just want to know, I always watch TV and we see certain movies about groups singing and how people be running behind them and screaming and hollering and all that kind of stuff. Being a great artist yourself, how was it like when you would come back home to your hometown and people would see you or you would have to be out in the street? What was it like for you then when you went back to your hometown after, being the great person that you are?
And rude and all.
Yeah. So when you came back, to your home.
Okay, Annette.
Like I said, Well, when they were younger, they probably did something like that. But as we're older now, and people still recognize us, it is so weird, you know. I mean, they didn't go crazy or anything like that. Now, you got to remember, I started singing with the Delphis, who eventually became the Vandellas.
Right.
But I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Next month, I'm going to be 78. I've been singing a long time.
God bless you. God bless you, baby. God
But
bless you.
they've always just treated us like part of the family. You know, I know one of the Vandellas. I know one of the Vandellas. You know, when I was in school and everything. I was in school one day in high school. I think it was my last year. I think it was the year that Come and Get These Memories came out, and because I think it came out in '64. And
Yes.
I don't know who told. Kids knew that I sang, and they was like excited about that and everything. But somebody went to the office and told them that one of the people, you know, one of the people in the school sang with the group and blah blah, so on and so forth, and they got the record, and didn't they play it over the intercom? I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. I was sitting, and I'm glad I was sitting in study hall. I was sitting in study hall, and I heard the record, and I kind of dropped my head. I was like, who did that to me?
But you know what? And that creates what you're smiling inside about now. Great memories. That's what that creates.
It does.
Great memories.
It does.
Great
Absolutely.
memories. Michelle, you know, Annette has always been a very humble person. So I'm sure that there were people that, you know, screamed out her name and threw their underwear. I was one of them, you know. But we're not gonna talk about that too much.
Oh my goodness.
Anybody else got it? Anybody else got Rita? I see your hand. I'll come at you, Drew, in a minute. Rita?
Yes. Annette, was there a reason why the name of the group was changed several times?
It was only changed once, and that's because at the piano, the group was called the Delphis then, and we think he had, you know, then he might have trademarked it or something else. And by the time we got Motown, Barry didn't want to have to fight over changing the name or using the name or anything like that. So that's when our name changed and we became the Vandellas.
Okay. Good question.
You know.
Okay.
Question. Drew? Drew had his hand up. What's up, Drew?
And I want one.
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Annette, have you done any songwriting on any of the Vandella catalog? Is there any, or have you done any producing or arranging with the group or with other artists?
Oh no, I just know my note. That's all.
You just sang. You just sang. I hear you.
She just sang.
Right?
She just sang.
Like that?
That's right.
Oh, no. Just tell me what you want me to sing. Tell me. I'm gonna sing my note anyway, so just tell me what you want me to sing and how you want me to sing it. That's how Holland Dozier and Holland used to do and tell us how they wanted those oohs and ahs and all. Hey, I was fine with that. I didn't have a problem with that.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you much.
Rosie?
Yes, I'm Miss Annette, and I want to ask you about this here. Now, I love Martha and the Vandellas, and I also love the Marvelettes. So was there any, hopefully there wasn't any animosity or nothing. How was that singing in the group, you know, your group, and then they're in the studio too, in the same place there and all, with the Marvelettes and all, because I love both of y'all groups there, and both were excellent. So I'm just curious.
Like I said, we didn't have a problem because Barry always told us that we were family.
There
The
you
only
go.
problem that was, and it wasn't really a big problem,
Okay.
is I think Come and Get These Memories became a hit before the Supremes had a hit. And I think Diana Ross went to Barry and wanted to know how come the Vandellas got a hit and we don't have one, you know. So
Okay.
I guess that problem was worked on or worked out. But I mean, when they got their hits and all, it wasn't a thing like we were walking around with our lips poked out and all that kind of stuff. It just was not like that.
That's
not for
great.
me anyway.
Okay.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Let me ask you something that has sort of been categorized in the music business when it comes to the Motown girl groups. The Supremes were sort of listed as number 1. Martha and the Vandellas were listed as number 2. And that's always sort of been that way. How do you feel? How do you personally feel about being number 2, but maybe getting a lot more adulation than the Supremes?
As long as I could sing and travel and, you know, go overseas and all that kind of stuff, I was fine with it.
Okay.
I mean, I've always been, you know, they got hits. I mean, it wasn't a thing like once Holland Dozier and Holland got in there, you know, the Supremes started getting hits and everything because Diana Ross was having fits and all of that. But we were fine. Okay. I mean, me personally, I mean, I'm just a down-to-earth person. You know, I'm not going to make no big issue about nothing like that, period.
Okay. All right. That's one of the things I love about you. You are so down-to-earth. I do love that. Let me, because we're coming up on a close, and you guys get ready for closing statements if you would, but let me ask you this. In your third or trimester part of the career, with now the original Vandellas, what are you looking to accomplish with this move?
Just to keep our music going. That's all.
Okay. Okay.
Just keep our music going.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And people enjoy it.
Yes, they do.
People enjoy it.
Yes, they do. Yes. You can't play third finger left hand dancing in the street, wild one. You can't play it without somebody tearing up the
Sure can't.
You can't do it. You can't do it.
I know. Actually,
and I apologize. I haven't called him yet, but I will call him. Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't know that we do that all the time.
Okay. Okay.
But you can tell I'm getting old. I lost my train.
Listen, you're entitled to, babe. You're entitled to. Okay. You're entitled.
Yes,
that's all right.
But no, it was. When we got to this third time around, it was like Joe Contour. It was some of the other guys that worked with the band and some of the other people that worked on. They were like, "You guys are the original Vandellas. Why don't you get you another lead singer and get on out there?" And we looked at each other like, "What?" You know, and they kept bugging us so bad until Roz and I said, "Okay, why don't we made up a list of, you know, questions and whether or not they had jobs and children and how would it affect them, you know, and stuff like that." And we held an audition. And we brought in Joe and all of them. They helped pick. We didn't pick the person. They picked the person, you know. Okay. And that's how the third round, you know, because they kept saying, "You guys are the original Vandellas. You got to get out there. People want to hear y'all." You know, it's like, okay. By that time, Rosalind and I had worked 30-some odd years on our job. I retired with 38 years on my job. She retired with 34, 35. So,
wow.
But we were still working and singing at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
We were still working and singing because we had so much seniority. The girls would always want to work for us, and you know, I had girls that wanted to work for me all the time. You know, they said, let you go out on your weekend, and I'll take your weekend, and you work my weekend. Because, like I said, I worked in the hospital, so I mean, it was cool. And I got used to drawing that blood and taking blood. I finally got used to it. The first patient that I stepped with a needle, I thought I was going to faint on her.
That's what I did.
But she had just had a baby, so she just all off the
Okay. Annette, we're coming to the close, and let me say on behalf of the Magnificent Seven, we heartfelt thank you for spending this time with us on this Friday evening.
Thank you.
We love you.
For asking me.
Absolutely. Now I'm gonna put you on the spot. I want you to give me about 5 bars of "Come and Get These Memories." Of course. Well, look, and Rosie ain't here, so you got to do it by yourself. The show must go on.
That's right.
She'll join in with you.
That's right. I'll join.
All right, hold on, y'all. Oh, get out on the stage and sing. Good night, everybody. Good night. Annette, thank you so much, sweetheart. I really do appreciate it.
Yes.
Anybody want any closing statements? We got about 3 minutes. Anybody got any closing statements? Professor.
Miss Annette, do you think you guys will be traveling to Philadelphia anytime in the near future?
That was my question.
She said she hopes so.
Hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, she hopes so. If I got anything to do with it, you better believe they'll be here.
All right.
I haven't physically seen my friend in some years now. Who else got a question or comment?
I'm gonna comment.
Rosie, go ahead.
Yeah. And Miss Annette, I just want to say thank you for your service, being a nurse, because somebody had to do it. I wasn't the one with the sight of blood, but you persevered. So I thank you so much and all. Bless you. Thank you.
Essential worker. Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Anybody else?
We just want you to know we appreciate you.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
Your legacy will live on. Yes, it will.
Magnificent
Yes, it will.
Seven, can I ask you all to give Annette a nice round of applause
Yes.
for being with us tonight?
Guys.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The next time, Annette, the next time we do this, hopefully Roz will be available and we'll be able to see each other, because you got to see the faces when I
Yes.
introduce you of the folks that had
Yes.
not the right guesses, or ones that even had the right guesses. You got to see their
Yes.
faces. This is one of the best things I love about our Friday night show, because they never, I think I told you, they don't know who's
No.
going to introduce you. Yeah, they have no idea. All I do is put up a question on week and they got to chew on that question and try to figure it out. Now, the name calling that they do on week is a little bit but they never know who the guest is until I say, Mark, bring out our guest, and then I introduce,
right.
They don't know. Yeah. There was only one person that I thought about telling the audience who it was beforehand, and that was Claudette Robinson. She said to me, Ali, if you've never done it before, don't do it now. And because she told me that, because of her statue, I left it the same way. I don't tell anybody who it is.
Mm-hmm.
She was a sweetheart too. She was really a sweetheart.
She
Really
was.
She's right.
Yes.
Yes. So
Do it like
Annette,
a wall.
again, I want to thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much. And I promise you, I'll call Joe sometime this weekend, probably Sunday, and talk with him a little bit. And the next time I talk to Spider Turner, I'll tell him that he got down on the knees and tried to marry you. And you didn't want to hear. Listen, go ahead, Annette. Why don't you tell that story real quickly? We got about 2 minutes. Go ahead and tell that story.
I had taken my mother to we ran into him and one day on a wedding reception, and he was high as tight, but he told me all the time. But in the middle of the casino floor, this fool fell to his knees, and all I could do was, baby, please marry me, baby. Would you just marry him? Get your butt up off that floor. My mama looked at him like, who the hell is that?
Wow.
Like, who is it? I said, Ma, don't pay him no attention. He acts like that all the time. He acts like that all the time. You gotta call him up.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to call him. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to call it. Like I said, as I said, and I reiterate, the music is wonderful, but it's the stories behind the music that make this all worthwhile. You know what I mean? My sweetheart, I thank you so very much. Please tell Rosie that I asked about her, and we're hoping that the next time we talk, all three of us can get on the phone along with the Magnificent Seven. We can talk about some of the great days and what have you. I love you, and take care of yourself. And I'll talk to you soon. All right?
Like you all, Joey.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
Take care.
Good night. Good night.
All right.